My name is Darren Villano, and this is an inside look of what it's really like to start and run a business. This is where I share insights and ideas, practical tips and strategies that I've learned both from running my own company as well as from working with other small business owners and entrepreneurs. I'll take you behind the scenes of my business and other businesses too, because I believe that as entrepreneurs, what we can learn from each other is limitless. So come on and join me now as we go inside my business. Well, today I'm going through a little setback in my business. It's just a little setback. It's not a huge deal. But what happened today really got me thinking about adversity, because this is a minor thing. It's a small form of adversity, but it's just one thing that can happen, right? Like when you're in business, so many things can happen. I mean, adversity comes in all different forms. And, undoubtedly, if you're in business long enough, some big things are going to come down the pike your way. Like you're going to be facing some big decisions, some big challenges, some big struggles. And I just was thinking about this today, and I thought, man, I'm so built for challenge because of what I've been through in my own life. I really believe that going through adversity in your life can be used as a way to make you tougher and stronger and more resilient when things do happen later that are small. Especially when things happen to me in business, I kind of shrug them off because they're not life and death. This stuff's not going to kill you. They're business problems. They're going to happen. And some of the things I've gone through in my own life, and I'm sure you can relate because we all have our own journey, our own struggles, and our own paths, and our own challenges that we have to overcome. And for me, I grew up poor, and I grew up in a single parent household, and my mom was divorced twice, and she went through some difficult marriages. And there were times in my life where our family life was in an upheaval at home, and things were difficult. We lived under the constant threat of losing our home because my mom didn't have the money to pay for the mortgage. And, we had the electricity shut off on us at times because my mom couldn't pay the bill. I dropped out of college the first time I went. I grew up in a small town where it was economically depressed. These are just challenges, just difficulties that I had to endure. And, a lot of times we go through these things, and I think we tend to forget. We don't forget our own story. We don't forget what we went through, but I think we forget how different it actually is from a lot of people. That, wow, you look back and you're like, yeah, I went through that and I made it. I didn't just make it, I thrived. I went through some difficult stuff. And when I was going through it, I didn't want to be there. It was horrible, but I got through it. And now I look back and I'm like, just proud of that. And I think we forget sometimes to just pause and step back and reflect and just how amazing our own personal journey is. And I'm sure you can relate. And I honestly believe this. If you're sitting out there now and you're facing adversity right now, something really difficult, something bad has happened, you're living through hell, whatever's going on, or maybe you had lived through adversity when you were younger. Maybe you grew up in poverty. Maybe you grew up in a project. Maybe you grew up in a small town that was economically depressed. Maybe you've had to endure divorce, bankruptcy, illness, natural disaster, devastation. I honestly believe this with my whole heart that people that have gone through these challenges and difficulties actually have an advantage when it comes to business, when it comes to entrepreneurship. Because those things that you've gone through, they shape you, inform you, and make you tougher and make you more resilient. And when you're facing the challenges of business, by contrast, they can actually seem so much easier. You don't fall apart when somebody at work doesn't like you, or somebody in your business, something's not working out, or the person that you hired left, or you lost a client. I mean, these are bad things. We don't want to lose customers. We don't want to have a product not work or fail, or we don't want these things to happen. But when they do, you're just so much tougher. You're just so much more, you're built for it, right? You're like, bring it on. Like, I've dealt with life and death. This is nothing. This is easy compared to that. And we don't have the choice in life. We don't choose what happens to us. We don't get to choose what family we're born into and what our economic situation is and whether illness is going to happen or not, or whether an accident's going to happen, or a natural disaster or an event's going to happen. We don't get to pick these things. But one of the things that we can choose is what meaning we give to them. We can choose how to interpret them. We can choose how to internalize and use it for our own strength. We can choose how we're going to react to it and how it's going to shape us and make us stronger and better for the future. We do have control of that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and have the audacity to tell anyone how to interpret what they've been through in life. Only you can do that. Only you can look at your own circumstance and decide how you're going to react to it, what you're going to think about it. And we all go through different phases as well. You know, if you're in the middle of something right now, you might not be able to see through to the other side just yet. You know, you might have to go down the road a little further before you can get there, before you can have enough distance between you and that thing to look back and actually reflect. But I can say that, you know, when you look back on your life and you look at those moments, you know, some of the times we look back at the most difficult things that we've actually been through and realize that they, maybe more than anything else, made us who we are today. You ever notice that? You look back and you say, wow, like that tragedy or that difficulty or that circumstance, like, man, I made it through that. I did it. I did that. I overcame that. And I think it's that more than anything else that we reflect on and say, wow, that really made me the human that I am. And I say embrace it, you know, embrace your struggle, embrace your difficulties, wear your bruises and scars like a badge of honor. Don't hide them, you know. I think that too many business owners and entrepreneurs don't want to tell their full story. They don't want to tell their true story of what they've really, you know, a lot of times businesses are born out of necessity, out of difficulty. And we don't always want to tell that story though, because maybe we're a little ashamed of it, or we feel like, you know, we don't really want people to know, you know, or judge us, or, you know, we don't, and so we kind of hide it. We kind of put it away instead of embracing it, instead of saying, yes, this is who I am. This is what I went through. This is part of the story, and just putting it out there for people. And I think that when you do, it's empowering. So I say embrace that, you know, tell that true story of who you really are. Let that example shine through for others to see, because there's people out there now that need inspiration, that are going through something similar. Maybe they're also going through a divorce or a bankruptcy or something challenging, something that you have been through, and they want to see an example of what it looks like to overcome it. And I believe that when you fully embrace your story and when you say, this is who I am and what I've gone through, that you too can be an example for others to see and to look up to.